Metrics per scale. Another aspect that is important to management effectiveness concerns scale. Scale is an area in which the need for metrics is widely recognized and many offering different metrics are available. However, there are many excellent metrics per scale that are more appropriate. Example: Number 1. Time to provision 1,000 instances of a particular type of service. Number 2. Provisioning throughput, which is basically the inverse of the previous metric. Number of service instances that can be provisioned per time unit, which is minute per hour. Number 3. Time to synchronize management application with a network of a given size. Number 4. Number of events that can be sustained per second without dropping events. Number of managed devices of a given type or a given mix that are supported, accompanied by a meaningful performance measure. For example, while being able to perform a complete network audit within 60 minutes. Other metrics. Many other aspects contribute to management effectiveness. For example, one aspect concerns the effectiveness of events that are reported from the network and events that management applications bring to the network manager's attention. It is important that the reported event information be rich enough to convey what is going on, while focused and relevant enough not to distract from the real problems. One metric that is useful in this context is the number of observed alarms per root cause, effectively a management signal to management noise ratio. We would like to see this number go down, ideally to 1, in which case there is no noise and each alarm is indeed indicative of a distinct problem. In some cases, it might make sense to exclude events from the ratio that are explicitly used to report the impact of root cause and that to repair other events that point to the root cause. An example is service alarms that indicate how many customers are impacted by service outage, which is caused by failure that is indicated by a separate alarm. Another aspect concerns operational robustness and the error proneness of management interfaces. An interesting metric here is the percentage of network outages from operational error. This is the number that every network provider wants to see trend down over time. There are other aspects still, such as the consistency between management interfaces of different managed systems or between interfaces of management applications. As mentioned previously, the discussed metrics are by no means intended as a comprehensive list but an illustration of how the contribution of different factors to management effectiveness can be captured in a quantifiable manner. We leave this discussion at this point and turn to the topic of how to determine which metrics should be applied in a particular situation. Developing your own management benchmark. By now, it should be clear that no single metric can be used to assess management effectiveness or the business contribution that management provides. Instead, many metrics should be looked at collectively to obtain the overall picture. Of course, it is possible to combine different metrics into one aggregate using some formula. In the end, the goal is to provide a set of criteria that can be used to assess the effectiveness and business contribution of management and management technology under different criteria. Because there are so many metrics, which ones should you use in your particular case? The answer is, it depends. Use common sense. Obviously, when assessing the effectiveness of fulfilling telephony service orders, as a metric to assess provisioning throughput will be more meaningful than a metric measures the capacity of processing alarms. To identify the meaningful metrics, it helps to think about the properties that are most important in a particular context. For example, is the main concern cost or improve availability? Depending on the answer, focus on metrics that provide information on one versus the other and combine them into a management benchmark custom tailored to your specific situation. Also, be creative. Do not hesitate to invent your own metrics as needed. Usually, a good question to ask is, What use cases need to be assessed? Use case analysis is a software engineering technique that used to identify system requirements. In a nutshell, use case analysis works as follows. First, set of actors is identified. Actors are entities that derive value from the system being analyzed, network operators. For example, then a set of basic scenarios called use cases is identified. For each use case, the individual steps and interactions that need to occur between the actors and the system are specified, along with preconditions and postconditions that are supposed to hold before and after the use case is executed, and an explanation of exceptions that can be occurred. Nothing prevents use cases from being used not only to derive requirements, but also to capture the factors that best characterize how effective the use case is executed. The result is a set of metrics that is custom tailored to a particular context. One way in which metrics can derive is to apply the complexity measures that were discussed earlier in the operational tasks that correspond to the use case. For example, it can be meaningful to compare different systems with regard to the number of steps that are required for a given use case, along with the complexity of information that needs to be exchanged at each step. Assessing and tracking the state of management. Now that we know that the types of metrics can be applied, what values should these metrics indicate? What constitutes a good or acceptable value versus one that is bad and needs improvement? The general answer is it depends. What is perhaps the most significant about those metrics is not their actual value at any one moment in time, but the fact that they can serve as a basis for quantifiable comparison. Those comparisons can be conducted between alternatives. For example, metrics can be used to compare management effectiveness between different service or IT departments, providing insights into their relative strengths and weaknesses. It might not be really all that interesting to know that it takes a service provider organization 8 hours to provision 1,000 instances of a particular type of service until you hear that it takes the competition only 15 minutes. Other metrics can be used to compare the effectiveness of different management applications and different device types and devices from different vendors that play similar role in the network. Comparison can only be conducted over time, allowing assessment of progress. Again, the absolute value of metrics is often lesser significance as long as it trend points in the right direction. If your ratio of customer reported incidents to incident overall stands this month at 20%, it might be good news. If it was 21% last month and 30% a year ago, because it means we have gotten better at identifying problems ourselves before they impact customers. However, it is bad news if you used to over around 50%. Another aspect to consider is that no single metric tells the whole story, but many metrics combine to provide an overall picture. It is easy to get lost in the amount of data that can be collected. What can be extremely helpful in such situations is a way graphically visualize the data. No one common established technique exists for this. For example, metrics that relate to operator productivity are in one quadrant. Metrics related to availability and impact by management are in second quadrant. Metrics that relate to the integration task in are a third quadrant, and so on. Then there the value for each metric is assessed. The corresponding coordinates are connected and enclosed area is shaded. To compare different alternatives, the respective profiles can be superimposed to identify areas where over and underlap occur, exposing their respective strengths and weaknesses. As management effectiveness improves over time, the values of the coordinates increase and overall enclosed area grows. It is also possible to compile a single value across a set metric according to some formula. For example, each metric might be assigned a weight factor that is multiplied before being added up. Although this approach is easy to use and convey, one drawback is that some information is lost in the course and the resulting picture is less differentiated. Using metrics to direct management investment. Metrics such as those discussed in this chapter can be tremendous help when trying to determine where to direct management investment and to assess whether a particular management investment might even be worth the while. A general approach to take is as follows. In the beginning, establish the network objective for further investment. For example, is the most important goal to reduce operational costs or increase the network availability or to accelerate rollout of a particular service. Number 2. With the objectives in place, identify metrics that can be used to assess the degree to which those objectives are met. Number 3. With the metrics identified, determine different alternatives that will have an impact on those metrics. We saw many examples of this in the subsection on factors that determine management effectiveness. Assess and try to quantify the expected impact of those factors in terms of identified metrics. Finally, select the alternative that yields the most attractive return on investment or ROI, that is, the highest benefit in relation to the cost. Additional investment should be made as long as the expected ROI is deemed favorable. ROI is generally determined by dividing benefit expected from an investment by the investment amount. A related measure calculates the time until the benefit will have paid for the investment. In our case, the benefit may not always be expressed in terms of dollars. However, the same great general idea can be applied.